Hello and welcome to the Sias Plessis show. Thanks to everyone that has liked and subscribed on YouTube. A big shout out to our partners at Betway, Monster Energy, and of course, New Era Caps. Now, someone joining me in studio today is someone I've admired for a long time. I've never told her that because it would have been creepy being a sports journalist, and she was part of Banyana Banyana. She still is. Kaylin Swart, thank you so much for joining me in studio. And that's true. I've been an admirer of your work. I think you're a phenomenal footballer and a great human being. Always available for an interview. Thanks for joining us and making time.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. I was going to say, you've actually kind of watched me grow in the national team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I started...
It's come a long way.
Yeah, 2016 started following the national team.
Yeah.
And today, I mean, Wikipedia says 36 appearances. Can someone please update Wikipedia? I don't know who that is. It's not 36, right? 48.
Yeah.
That's amazing. 2 more, hey?
2 more. Little big 5-0. God willing. God willing.
I've no doubt. I've no doubt. There's some big football to come.
There is.
Speaking of which, recently, Denmark and England, I mean, that's a pretty tough opposition to play, those 2 games.
No, I think it was massive. It was massive. Not just in their rankings, but also just where they are on the scale of women's football and how much they've succeeded so over the years and where they are now. So, and for us to play them, it was a bit of a shock. It was a surprise when we got those names, when when the list was coming out and the plans was going on for the international break. And when we saw Denmark and England, we were like, whoa. But no, it was.
It's not Eswatini and with all due respect to Eswatini.
Yeah, no, it's true. But no, it was a great experience, and I think we needed that. You know, I think for us to actually go to Europe and play in Europe and play these 2 massive countries. I mean, Denmark is top 20. I mean, they are up there. You know, the men's do really well. England, I think we all follow the English game, but also just the females of the female footballers, because they're such icons in the women's game, and they've been big advocates now. The US obviously set that tone for all of us, but I think the English are definitely setting the bar, and they're raising it every day in, day out. So,
but I think it's recognition to you guys. I mean, need I remind our audience, if you're not aware, South Africa's national women's team, champions of Africa. I mean, that's a special achievement in itself, because women's football on the continent is getting stronger each year. You guys have managed to become African champions, and surely then by default you should be playing top teams in the world like England and Denmark. So hats off to the organizers putting it together. It's great to see. I mean, as someone who will never play football at a decent level.
You play indoor at least.
I'm so bad. I have 2 left feet, but don't tell anyone. What is it like? I mean, I know England's, the men's, women's team hold a special place in your heart, and we'll get into your love for cricket. But what was that like? I mean, standing between the sticks, national anthems, God Save the King, and Nkosi, it's all happening. Is it an emotional, overwhelming feeling? Or, I mean, you've played enough games now. Just take me there. What's that like?
It is for me, because I hold so much pride, putting on that national team jersey. But it's an honor, and obviously I'm not just representing myself, and it's not just us, the 23 that are there. It's everyone back home, our friends, our family, the next generation that's watching us on TV, and there is definitely a sense of pride, and there's a lot of emotions. I still get goosebumps. I still, get emotional when I'm singing the national anthem, and I don't think that will ever get old until the day I say, okay, you know what, I've hung my boots and I've dried my gloves, and I said, all right. But I think every game, you always get that feeling, and I think that's the feeling that will, steer me forward to keep going, because I think once I lose that emotion, that passion, I think that's when I think I'll start to really think about where I'm heading and what direction I want to go in. But for as long as I have that feeling, I think it will always be a great honor. And I just have a lot of fun representing my national team.
Stevie, that's a reel, please. Can you mark that for us? Thank you. I've got to tell my executive producer what to put on social media. Follow us at the Sias Plessis Show on Instagram. We're also on TikTok, believe it or not. I love the fact that you have so much passion for Banyana Banyana, for just playing the game of football. I know from a club point of view, you've been a loyal servant to JVW. I think for the national team, that opportunity, people sometimes take for granted, not necessarily the players, but the public, that you're playing for the national team and it's just another Banyana game, right? When in actual fact, people forget what that journey is to get you between the sticks with the gloves and playing 48 times for your national team.
Yeah, and it's such a gruesome journey, but it's so rewarding at the end of the day. Success never came without failure. And for us as a team, but individually, we've all had our failures. We've all had our stumbling blocks, and we had to deal with a lot of things outside of the football field. And for us to be where we are, for me to be where I'm at right now, it's crazy. Like if you had spoken to me two years ago, I'd have told you, no, mate,
Really?
there's no way.
As soon as 2 years ago?
Yeah. I was very close to, calling it quits just because I had to endure so much and I just didn't think that I had, that strength and the courage to, go through everything that I did. But yeah, like I said, I have so much fun with it. But when the fun aspect is out of the sport you love, it becomes really tough to get out of bed in the morning, let me tell you.
So, 2 years ago, that's like...
Yeah.
And here you are as the leading goalkeeper, number one keeper for Desiree Ellis and the team, and you're an African champion. You've been to a World Cup. And, it's hard to think that as soon as 2 years ago, it was, a short space of time, you were considering your options. And I suppose what changed?
I think I just needed to go home. I went home for that. I think it was the Christmas just before or after AFCON. That Christmas I went home. And I think that's all I needed, to see my family, see my friends, and just be at home and not think about everything else and be in the moment with my mom and dad. And because I haven't seen them for a long time before that. And little did I know that's all I needed. And I was playing with my friends that I grew up with. We'd play pickup in the street or on the soccer field, and we just had fun. And then that's when I realized, I was like, damn, no, I can't walk away from this game, not just yet. Because I had so much more to give. But at that time, I just didn't feel like I was where I wanted to be. But emotionally, I was not very intelligent. So that's also something I needed to work on, was to work on my emotions, work on myself. And I think that's all I needed. And just going to the beach, I think that
Absolutely.
was...
Some home cooking, right?
Yes.
Mom's hug,
Absolutely. And and that's where everything just kind of, came back to me.
Yeah.
And I realized that, no, I still have a lot to give to the game. And and I just put my head down, worked hard, and I am.
Well, you keep doing what you're doing because it's fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that home connection sometimes just puts that energy back when you feel depleted, right? And I often find seeing my folks just gives me that, everything's okay and they're proud of me and I can keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know how to explain that, but, it's that sort of feeling that I'm like, when I get up in the morning, I'm like, let's go and do some stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times you can't explain certain things, You got to feel it. And a lot of that was feeling.
Yeah.
And I didn't even need to explain much to my parents or to my family members. They knew what I needed.
Yeah.
And all I needed was just family time. And
you got to do more of that, hey?
Yeah, I
you
do.
got to get down more of that.
I do. And, a lot of people ask, when last you been home? B hasn't seen me in a while.
The name has changed.
I know. I can't even say it properly.
I'm just saying.
But
it hasn't been that long,
Like, obviously going home, I would love to go home more than I do, but it's just, these are also some of the sacrifices that a lot of people don't know. We miss so much family time, so many occasions and milestones in families. And, for us to be where we are, those are some of the things that we got to give up. And as hard as it is, we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, I mean, and your career is so short. I mean, it might feel long, and
Yeah.
you've been playing for a while now, but at the end of the day, it's a brief God-given chapter, right? And it's a privilege for a select few, and you happen to be part of that club. But there's lots more football in you. Come on, there's plenty more football. Take me back to where it started.
Yeah.
Where did that moment, I want to be a goalkeeper sort of thing? You spoke about the streets, playing with friends. Is that, just take me back there.
I think I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people know, but, a lot of us goalkeepers hate being goalkeepers. We want to be strikers.
Everyone wants to score goals, right?
And I started off as just a regular player. Like I loved scoring goals. Still today, I love.
Did you have a celebration?
No, not really.
So let me ask you this. If you had to now, let's say it's the 94th minute,
Yeah.
Banyana Banyana need a goal. Up comes Kaylin for a corner,
Yeah.
and you put it away, top corner, and you win, let's say, WAFCON again. What would that celebration look like?
I think I'll probably just sprint the length of the field and be like, oh my God. But I'd probably do something crazy, honestly.
Well, let me know. What would it be?
Knowing me, I'd probably, I don't know.
We got the Ronaldo.
Yeah. I'd probably fake an injury and then dance or do something like that. That's just me.
The sniper hamstring. I got you.
Yeah, that's what I. But yeah, that's where it's like I literally started in the street. Like I was just playing with the boys. I always had the soccer balls, so I was always the one that started the games. Yes, and if my team was losing, I was that kid. I'd take my ball and I would go home. I was
rightly so. You own the ball
because I hated losing, and still today I'm very competitive, and I think I get that from my father, but also my brother and I. We always went at each other. Like there was no fair play in our house between the two of us. So yeah, I just started in the street playing with the boys, and I think I was about 5 or 6 is when my dad was like, "Okay, so if this is what you want to do, let's try it out." And yeah, we went down to the local field, and there was a team called Glenville Celtic AFC. I started there under 9. I was 6, started under 9. Goalkeeper, I played striker, midfielder. I was in the defense even at some point. And then that's where football really became a part of my life. And I think it was just before I went to HBC in Pretoria at the Tuxborough High School. My dad sprung it on me. It's like, would you want to try being a goalkeeper? And I was like, goalkeeper? Nobody wants to be a goalkeeper. That's not fun, At that time, all you want to do is score goals.
Absolutely.
You want to celebrate with the team. Nobody wants to be a goalkeeper. So I thought, all right, let's try it out. First couple of games. First half, I would play. Second half, I want to be striker. So I did first
Super
half.
keeper.
Yes. So I did first half as a goalkeeper, second half as a striker.
Okay.
And the boys, they embraced it. Like they were all about it. And I think that's when it kind of just became, I wouldn't say natural, but I think it clicked pretty fast for me. And and my dad, he was my first coach. And yeah, I guess he saw something in me. And yeah, like they say, the rest is history.
I think it was a great call by your dad, by the way. Hats off to him. Football in the house, was it always, obviously everyone has a club they support, right? And often it's influenced by a father figure or a brother or a friend. Was that something in your house? And was there one club that everyone sort of got behind, or was there debates and like who to support and derbies and things like that?
There was always fights. My dad's a Man United supporter. I bleed red. I'm a Liverpool supporter.
Okay.
And my mom, yes, she likes Liverpool, but she don't really care. Like if Liverpool wins, cool. If Man United wins, cool. It doesn't
She wins
matter.
either way.
She wins either way. But football has always been in my family.
Yeah.
My mom played. My mom's sisters, brothers, everyone played soccer. So it's always been in like football or just sport in general. Has always been something that my family thrived off. We have karate in the family, cricket, rugby, me with football. But everyone kind of played, but I think I'm the only, now I'm the only one that really took it further. And obviously now I have all the support of my family and my mom's family, my dad's family, both sides. So some of my cousins kind of get jealous of me because they say Kaylin gets everything right. But yeah, so sport has always been in the family. And yeah, it just happened that when I was 12, 13, I became a goalkeeper. And yeah, football has always been part of me. And but yeah, sports in general, I did everything growing up.
You mentioned cricket.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more there. I mean, was there a thinking that maybe I played for the Proteas one day?
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. Because, I mean, women's cricket is phenomenal. I mean,
Yes.
Sine Lease and all, just phenomenal cricketers. And I know that they support Banyana and vice versa, but was there a time when you were like, oh, maybe cricket is the sport, or was it always going to be football?
Yeah, so before I went to high school, so I started grade 9 at Tuxport High School in Pretoria. So primary school, grade 8, I was back home in PE. And primary school, cricket was very prominent. Like it was, because I went through all the ranks, like mini cricket, I went through it all. And I did so many mini cricket camps and things like that. But on the other hand, football also. Like I did so many, football camps during the summers and stuff like that. And I loved cricket. Like I loved it. Like I was in the nets all the time because my dad at the time, when I was in primary school, he was director or president or something of the cricket club, Galvindale Cricket Club.
Okay.
And it's a massive cricket club.
Shout out to them, right?
Yeah, that's where Ashwell Prince and all of them played.
I was going to say there's some phenomenal cricketers that come through there.
And yeah, so I was there every day with him and I just loved it. And then I think primary school, obviously grade 6, grade 7, cricket became something that I was really enjoying and I was really getting good at it. And yeah, so did Eastern Province cricket under 19. Played in the first team at, how old was I? 14. Yeah. So it was really something that I wanted to pursue because I enjoyed it. And funny enough, I don't know if Marazan Cup, Chloe Tyrone, all of them, we went to we went to provincials together. So I played with all of these girls and I'm friends with them.
Yeah.
And to see that where they are now and to think that I could have been there is crazy. But cricket will always have a soft place in my heart. And I'm actually going back to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I started playing with the Jeppe Cricket Club.
Okay.
Yeah, so just, getting back into it.
Please tell me, are they trying to exploit the fact you're a goalkeeper and so they automatically went wicket keeper?
No, not even. I'm all rounder.
And I was going to say, please.
Yeah, no. That's wicket keeper is not on the cards. No, it's not part of me.
Oh wow! So, and how's the cricket going? How are you kind of balancing things at the moment? Because it's cricket season in South Africa now summer.
Yeah.
There's also football to come. Does Coach Ellis know there's cricket on the cards?
Oh, I don't know. She's probably going to bash me for this, but if she has this, I'm sorry, Coach.
We might have to edit that out, Steve.
Yeah, so, obviously now the Super League is done.
Yeah.
And, we have a bit of time now, but also bear in mind we have another camp, international break coming up. So, so I'm trying to, obviously I train once, twice a week during in the week with cricket, but obviously football still number one. That will never change until I decide. But no, I think now it's just having fun with the cricket ball and the bat and
that's super cool.
Yeah, and just getting back into it again. But I must say I haven't lost my touch. That's one thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
I like to hear that. I like to hear that.
But whenever I had time, I'll always make sure I'll try and squeeze in a session or two with the girls. But yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
So watch out for John O'Leaf, he might just come knocking from the lines. You never know. I'm obviously fascinated to hear more about your football journey, and you've had a lot of highlights throughout your career. There's also been some hard times, as you alluded to. But what is that motivation or that inspiration that drives you? Because I feel sorry for goalkeepers, because you can pull off 15 amazing saves in a game.
And that one
And the
goal.
one bobbles, you know what I mean? And you're the villain. So you have to be sharp, man. I'm busy watching a series on the NHL and how goalkeepers train specifically for that with the hand-eye coordination stuff. And they take it to the next level in terms of drills, to the point where they're visualizing the drills just before they're about to go on the ice. So, yeah, I suppose my question to you is, what is that motivation? It can't just be stopping any ball from getting in the net, right?
It's being a goalkeeper, you gotta have thick skin.
Absolutely.
You gotta have, and I've only learned that now at my big age. Like, because I'm a people's person. I'm a softie. Like, I'm very emotional, but I'm passionate. I'm very competitive. But I don't know. It's just, it takes a special person to be a goalkeeper. Like, yes, we are clowns. We are crazy, but we are special people. And I'm sure if you speak to any other goalkeeper that's elite and that started, from the bottom and gone through hardships and, the fail and success is there, and it's what I can't put it on one thing.
Okay.
Like, there's not one thing that's a motivation. I think it's just because I love it. I have fun. It's hard, and I think I love the hard part of being a goalkeeper.
Okay.
And I think also just being under pressure all the time. Sometimes we can crack under pressure, but I think 90% of the time we thrive under pressure.
Yeah.
And that for me is a thrill. Like, we know when you're going to big games and people really, people have already written us off. And those are the games that I love to play, because that's the game where you really can show yourself. Because when you're under pressure, you perform at your best. And I think when I'm under pressure, I got to be calm as ever. And that is also something that I've had to work on a lot, is just being in the moment.
And where does
being
that
present.
start? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Just where does that start, that calmness? Is it in the warm-up before the game? Is it in the change room when you're putting on the boots and gloves? Or is it start on the team bus? Because there's a lot going on, a lot of information flowing, right? And sorry to interrupt you, but where does that calmness start that you've had to impose on yourself, right?
No, for me, I think it's the night before, or even just like everything's regarding the national team, because obviously that's the highest level. So with club, it's different, because we at home, we get to be with our family, and you drive yourself to the stadium, things like that. But with the national team, a lot of it starts right when you get into camp.
Okay.
You got to be switched on. You got to know your purpose and why you're there and what you are meant to do. But for me, the night before game, I think that's where everything starts. Good night's rest, you're relaxing, you're not on your feet too much. I like to watch movies, so I'll watch football. I'll watch literally anything, just to be in my own space. And obviously the meetings and those things is always going to happen, because you're always busy on game days are the busiest days ever in the national team, because you got to get ready, you got to make sure the meetings are throughout the day and whatnot. So it starts the night before, because for me, if I'm calm going to bed and wake up in the morning, you do your routine, whatever, you stretch, you do that stuff, that's where everything just kind of flows. But if I had a bad night's rest, the next day is hard, because to squeeze in a nap on game day it's almost impossible to squeeze a nap in, especially for the games like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. But night games, I squeeze in a nap on game days, and I think that's
power nap.
Yes,
20 minutes.
100%.
Okay.
And that for me is a game changer. So as I got older, as I started to realize what it actually takes to be elite and to be a professional footballer, or just a professional athlete in general, I realized that, we take sleep for granted.
Yeah.
We do.
Absolutely.
We take sleep for granted. And I think that was number one thing that I needed to, understand. And for me, a nap on game day, 20, 30 minutes is all I need.
Where would you nap? Is it at the hotel before? Okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to nap in the change room.
No.
With
Of course
like
not.
Tembi running around, not going to happen.
So obviously before we leave, you have some time after meetings and stuff. Yeah, we'll squeeze in a nap. But also when you get onto the bus, I listen to music, or Andile will play the big speaker, and yeah, we all enjoy it. But once we get into the locker room and we start singing as a team, I think that's when everyone also kind of that's like our husa, is where we're singing. Yes, it looks like we're having fun, but that is how we calm down and we make sure we're getting ready for the game and stuff like that. But once I start putting on my kit, I'm quiet.
Okay.
Yeah, I get into my zone. I'll put in my headphones.
And there's a routine, right? Is it a left boot, then a right boot to there? Okay.
Yeah, left side first. Left side always. Right. Yeah, left boot first, left glove first. So those are kind of the things that, if I don't do it, I'll take my boots off and I'll do it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
So literally in the locker room, obviously at warm up, you want to feel as calm and you want to feel as light as possible.
Also feel the ball in your gloves, sort of thing, like that contact. Does that also determine a lot of how the day is maybe going to go?
Yeah, and also what I do, like the match day -1 training. If I train with those pair of gloves, I'll play in that pair of gloves.
I see.
Yeah, so I won't change. I don't know. I'm very particular and like superstitious like that. Like if I had a great session in one pair of gloves, I will use that until.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So
to rub the magic off, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but I think it's definitely just being in that environment. You kind of find what works for you and what doesn't. Yeah.
And I mean, if I look at the way you guys have been playing and performing and growing from strength to strength since, covering my first Banyana game back in 2016, I think, was that Olympic Games that had just happened? Was that Olympic Games? Or was it 2012? Was 2012 London?
London was the first one we went to,
yeah. But the progression you guys have made is phenomenal. Like from the dark horses on the African continent to the powerhouses of the continent. And look, Nigeria always going to be up there. But I think you've set the bar high now. There's an expectation that probably adds to the pressure every time you put that famous jersey on and stand between the sticks and hope for the best, right?
Hope
there's not a worldie that,
Man. And my journey, for most of us that are still currently in the national team, our journey started when we were under 17 national team,
Was that Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, 2010. We were the first team that qualified for the World Cup in Trinidad and Tobago. And, I mean, we were still so young and we were so naive. We literally were playing academy football, and next thing you know, we had the World Cup. So for us, that was definitely the stepping stone of what was to come. Yes, it wasn't a great start for us, but I think that we needed that to obviously steer our way forward. And obviously going under 20, things didn't work out. Like we weren't as successful as we thought, even though we were a good team. But Nigeria was always the team to beat. When we were under 17, under 20, even now.
Rivalries.
Yes. So throughout our careers, we're friends with the Nigerian team now because we also kind of grew together, if you think about it, because a lot of us played under 17, under 20 together. And we've played against each other multiple times. So, of course, you're going to become friends with your rivals or your enemies, So I think going to the Under-17 World Cup, I think for me, that's where everything kind of started. And I realized, okay, maybe I can, go further with this. And but academy, boarding school, I hated it for the first 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I also kind of knew that if I don't make it now, I cannot go back home and, play local football where, women's football wasn't where it is now. And especially the development in PE is not the same. And I knew I needed to, do this because, my parents were obviously doing enough. They're doing everything they could for us. But I knew that to lessen the burden for them, I need to succeed at this thing. And obviously going through high school, it was tough.
Yeah,
it was really tough.
I can imagine.
And obviously juggling football and school, that for me, that was probably the best thing that I could have been in, because when I went to college, it was easier because I had, the 4 years of experience in high school, which we were doing the same thing, training in the morning, go to school, train in the afternoon, do homework. So that routine stuck with me, But yeah, when things were going really tough, I just I was just leaning on the talent that I had, and I knew that I had the talent. I knew I had the ability. I just needed to bring it out myself, because there was a lot of people around me, negative comments, or I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that. But I needed to really change the narrative within myself, not everyone else's narrative. And that for me now, like I said, when at my big age is when I'm realizing so many things, because growing up, you don't really think about it. You're just playing, you're having fun. But when the stakes get higher, that's when you got to really elevate and make sure that you are good to, compete at that level. And, but yeah, it's been a lot of downs, man. A lot of downs, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, I'm happy to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned such a good thing there. It's not a good thing, but you mentioned a great thing and how you deal with it. But the negativity that comes with being on that platform, like you said, people body shaming. It's social media is a cruel place.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like that you've found a way to block out the noise and use that as a motivation almost, or as maybe not as a motivation, but as something to channel your talents to stay away from that noise. Is that true? Is that am I on the right page here?
Yeah. You're on the right track. It was never going to be easy. I knew that. I knew playing for the national team and, representing us at the highest level. I knew it was never going to be easy. And there was times where things were tough and, we were struggling, we were suffering as a team, but we suffered together. And I think that's the beauty of Banyana Banyana. We will suffer together because we know that when we suffer, we're going to get right. And we suffered for a very long time, especially in AFCON. 2018 was probably the one year that we knew we were going to win. And when we lost to Nigeria in that penalty shootout in the final, it was we were gutted, man. We were heartbroken, and we walked off that field and we said, we never want to feel like that again. And that's what fueled us for the next 4 years going into Morocco, and a lot of it, there was more than that, more than the 2018 AFCON. But those are the things that, a lot of people don't understand, is that, our journeys are it's crazy. I don't think an average person would go through what we go through and still come out on top, and I think that's also, we grow, especially with our emotions, but also we grow as people and our perspectives change. And yes, there'll always be a negative narrative, or there'll be a group of people that are negative. But that's where obviously the social media intelligence comes in. It's a blessing and it's a curse. It's a great platform for us to showcase ourselves and as brands and whatnot. But it's also a place for people to, do and say what they want. And as you get older and you realize that there's so much more to what people think and say, and how you change that and how you create a positive narrative with the negative, I think that's a game changer.
Yeah.
And I think you'll only realize that once you really do introspection and you know exactly what it is that you want as an individual. Because you can read these things, but it should be word off your back, right? Not the case.
No,
not the case. And a lot of it, obviously, if it's personal, you hold on to those things a lot more. But yes, people would say whatever it is. And obviously, I had my fair share with, social media and, nothing positive came from it. But I took that and I obviously realized that I needed to be okay with myself and be kind to me before I can accept anyone else's, opinions or comments or whatever. And it was a really dark hole. It was a dark hole. But for me to get out of that, I just needed to lean on to the people that I knew have my back. And obviously friends and family. But I mean, supporters, yes, today I could make 5 saves in the game. They'll love me. Tomorrow I can make 5 saves and we lose 1-0.
Yeah.
Kaylin's this, Kaylin's that. But that's just the territory we're in. And that's obviously, like I said, as a goalkeeper, you got to have thick skin. But sometimes you just got to rely on the higher power, man. And sometimes you just got to open that Bible and speak to God. And I think that's also what brought me to where I am, is obviously just renewing my relationship with God and things like that. But yeah, and also just being kind to myself, man. Like that for me was all I needed.
If you had to go back now, knowing what you know, I mean, it's easy. It's hindsight is 2020. Is that what you would tell Kaylin Swart when she made her Banyana debut? Be kind to yourself, sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And also, I would tell myself to just have fun more, have more fun with it. Like, because when I was losing the fun aspect, I think that's when a lot of the things were also falling. And but then again, I wasn't mentally in the right space. So what I would probably tell my younger self was, have fun, be kind to yourself, smile even through the hardest time of your life, because, that smile goes through 10 other people. And I mean, that makes you feel good. If I can make other people feel good, it makes me feel good, and, but yeah, it's just, I actually don't know what I would tell younger self, because at the time, I'm very hard on myself.
Yeah.
I'm probably my biggest critic. And that was also a killer for me, because I was hard on myself. Everyone else's comments was hard and it was personal and it was, the bricks were coming. The bricks were coming. And I just needed to find a way to shield all of those. Yeah. And now, I think it's just because I'm confident in myself now, and I feel good. I'm in a good headspace. My family's good, which is obviously probably the biggest thing for me. So I think it's just a lot of things, but once you find it, it's a game changer. And like now I'm talking to you, if there was a year ago, I probably would have been crying here talking about my story, because that's how much emotion is with it. And now that I can talk to you about it, that also shows how far I've come in my journey.
Thank you for your courage.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And how much courage and understanding I had to go through with me, but also just the industry itself, being an athlete and a South African athlete, especially where we are on
and
the
it's not
trajectory.
like you're getting paid millions to represent your club, or the financial burden is massive.
Yeah, and there's so many other stresses that is a factor to how we perform, where we are, what we bring to the table, and a lot of those things. And like I said, the sacrifices that we had to give, and how still we're sacrificing a lot to be, a national team player, even though we're not a professional player. But we got to treat ourselves like that. And that's the hard part, because then you think about the financial aspect of it. Financial stress is probably the worst stress to have.
It's terrible stress.
Yeah. And obviously thinking about, how you're going to pay the bills. Those are some of the things that also I dealt with a lot. And, my dad wasn't okay during that time. So there were so many things that I had to deal with, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. So my understanding of how to deal with it was to quit. Yeah. That's all I knew, until I kind of sat down with people and I saw a therapist, and I was talking about my things more. And I think that is what helps a lot, is just talking to people you trust, because bottling it in, you will just sink more and more. And I sunk myself. Not anyone sunk me. I sunk myself in that dark hole. And I needed to take myself out of that dark hole. So I needed to make sure that I had everything, in place to make sure that I can sit here with you now and talk to you about all this thing.
I'm so impressed with the journey that the self-discovery that you've gone through to get to this point, right? And like you say, I think there's a lot of people out there that are battling in general.
Yeah.
And they might not be professional athletes or just everyday people that are struggling.
Yeah.
And I think the message here is you're not alone. Like, talk to someone. Like, even if it's over a cup of coffee, or whatever, a cup of tea, whatever that may be, there's always someone that will be there to listen to you and reach out to people. I think it's so important to have that as a safety net because it's lonely. It's lonely, and when you bottle things up, like you say, it becomes a very lonely place. And hats off to you. Absolutely fantastic.
Thanks,
and the courage and honesty I really appreciate. I would like to shift your attention quickly to Jordan Pickford, right?
Okay.
Plays for the wrong club.
I think so too.
You being a Liverpool fan. But when he plays for England or Everton or wherever it is, he's got names on the water bottle. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah.
With potential left or right or centre or low or whatever. Is that where goalkeeping is going these days? I know on the Premier League and that the expectation is high. You guys have also high expectations whenever you're representing South Africa or your club. But is that where goalkeeping is going in your mind? Is that the sort of research you do on, let's say you're facing Nigeria and it's either a top left or, you know what I mean? Like, can you, without giving away your secrets, is that where goalkeeping's going?
Yes, 100%. I think because the game has evolved so much over the years and, goalkeeping is more than just stopping the ball now. And there's so much more that goes into our position. But it's small details that make a huge difference. And yes, the studying is a lot more now, I must say. You gotta be so focused in meetings because, if you miss one thing, it can happen in the game and you're like, damn, I should have listened in that meeting, And when you look back, it's over. You can't correct anything. But the studying and the individual clips and things like that has become more and more. And you can see now that so much more is being put into goalkeeping, which is amazing because, our position is, like I said, small details, but it's got to be repetitive. And a lot of our work is done at training because certain games you'll make one or two saves or, there's certain games I barely touch the ball, and so a lot of our work is done at training to help us when it comes to the match that you already have those tools in place to be successful on the field. And but it is because the analysis is so much more in depth now. We focus a lot on free kicks or set plays, corners, free kicks, penalties is massive. And I think for us now, when you sit down with the coach and you're going through the clips and you're like, damn, I got to remember 10 people kicking, and also that's where the concentration comes in. And it's so hard because there's so many distractions. There's so many things happening. You got to make sure your defense is in place. You got to follow the ball, the fans and, the ball boys. And I think I have undiagnosed ADHD. Like I am all over the place. Like my head, I can't sit still for one bit. Like
and you're a goalkeeper.
Yes, I know. Like I can't sit still. I constantly have to be moving, and I don't know if you notice. Like when I play, I'm never standing still.
No.
Yeah,
I'm patrolling.
Moving. Yes, or I'm running, or I'm doing sprints, but I cannot stand still. And that for me, that's also something that. So I got to concentrate on myself, concentrate on the ball. In meetings, sometimes my coach will be like, "Hey, come now," and or even my teammates, or I'll be fiddling with something and everything's on the screen. But that's also some of the things that they've come to know about me. Like but I've also I've shown myself a lot more now, because I think people need to understand the person first before they understand the footballer.
Yeah.
And more, I think that's also coming into play now, because, mental health is obviously something big. And I think once the coaches, or, your teammates or your coaches know who the person is, the footballer, dealing with the football becomes so much more easier.
Yeah.
But in terms of goalkeeping, I think there's a lot going into it. And I hope that obviously in the next year or so that, our game becomes more professionalized, but also the development of goalkeeping. I would love for it to happen sooner than later, because it's the hardest position, but it's the most rewarding.
Yeah.
I believe that. And I wouldn't be a goalkeeper if I didn't feel the way I feel about it, even though I hated it in the beginning. And now the fact that I am, still between the sticks and still doing what I'm doing. But I do think that the future is bright, especially for goalkeeping. But the intricacy of the game now, man, it's more now so than ever.
I've got to ask you on that. I mean, I know Hope Solo, for example, is someone you've admired over the years. Have you ever got onto the field and been in awe of someone? If you know what I mean, like it could be your own teammate, it could be an opposition player. But recently with Denmark and England, you must have looked across the park going, oh my goodness, this is where I'm playing my football, and that's awesome. I won't lie, like, truth be told, I was a little starstruck, especially like when we did the pitch walk. We were walking around the field, and they were walking around, and these are girls that we follow them because they are at the pinnacle of their careers, and we thrive for that. Like, we obviously working towards something that we can say, we are professionalized and we are professional players playing in South Africa. So what they're doing and where they are in their careers, of course we're going to be starstruck. And for me, I was, because these are players that I follow, and I follow them closely, especially the game, because I watch a lot of football. And, and obviously me being on TV now with being an analyst for, Champions League and Supersport, it's even crazier now. Like, my TV doesn't turn off anything. Like, there's always sport on the TV. So these girls, like, we followed them for so many years. And, when we played them, I was like, damn, that's Mary Earps. Like, this is someone that I actually look up to, and she's not that much older than me, but because where she is in her career and what she's done so far for England, but also when she was at Man United, she did so well. And she's probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world right now. And there obviously was a few players like Lauren James. Yes, she wasn't there, but just the fact that we were playing England, everyone was like, damn, you're going to be marking Lauren James, dude. Like, and, so it's just certain things like that. But it's not, we admire them. It's not we would want to be like them, but we would want to, live our lives and thrive towards something like that, and I'm not shy to say, like, yes, of course we were on the field, and I was like, damn, that's cool.
That's Leah Williamson. Like, just the other day, like, we were watching England and whoever was playing, but we watched them on TV, and so yes, of course we're gonna feel like that. But then again, when we get on the field, it's equal playing field, and that's the beauty of it. And I love that, because once you, like, in the tunnel, you greet them, you say hi, how's it going? After the game, you're giving each other hugs, you saying hi, well done, things like that. But when you're on the field, I don't care who you are. Like, you can be Lauren James or Ella Toon, and you take a shot, and I'm going to want to save it, and I'm going to want to do my best. But on the field, that's where we expressed ourselves. And I'm obviously in that game, you would swear that we all play professional football. You would have sworn that all of us play in the top leagues in Europe, or even all of us were playing in a professional league in South Africa. Yeah. So, and that's the beauty of the sport, and that's how much the game has evolved, how we've evolved as footballers. And obviously one day, like, we want to be part of that elite group of players. But until then, we're still going to give everything, even though we are amateur players. Yeah, that's putting it lightly, mate. Like, to be honest, like, I'm an amateur player that's living a professional lifestyle. And that's the difference. But one day, I know it's going to happen. I think in the next year or so, we're going to be calling ourselves professional footballers. And I cannot wait for that day.
I think it's around the corner, really. And I think it's because of you pioneers. You guys have been pioneers for so long, given so much of your lives to the sport that you love.
And the thing is, we're not done yet, and we're not done yet. Like, there's so much more that's going to come from us, whether it's individual, as a team, as a federation. I think there's so much more that's still going to come from us. And I think the new generation, obviously, we're going to be phasing out sooner or later. We're all getting older. It's not a
But you only turned 25 the other day.
It's not a secret. We're all going to get old. We're all going to start to, phase out of the national team and become, just regular people or ambassadors of some sort. But while we're still playing, I do believe that there's so much more that you're going to get from this team, because we've tasted what the World Cup was like, and yes, we missed out on the Olympics, which would have been great for us, because after the World Cup, everyone obviously the eyes were on us, and for us not to go to the Olympics was a little bit of
it was a
bummer.
Surprise, to be honest.
Yeah,
I didn't
also the way it happened, losing 1-0 to Nigeria. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I think also that's going to fuel us for the next 4 years. Yes, hopefully we qualify for the next World Cup, and I do believe we will. But our first task now is to go back-to-back African champions.
Absolutely.
Like, that is number one right now. Like, on everyone's lips, everyone's heart, on our minds, that's what we want to do. And I believe we will, because we want more for ourselves, because if we continue to do what we're doing now, nobody can deny us. And that for us is massive, because we've been denied way too many times, and we've been put on the back burner way too many times. So for us to really, really shift the gauge, I think we need to keep doing what we're doing. And obviously, we got to win. And we got to win games. But sometimes I don't think people realize that sometimes it's not always about the result, Yes, we could have lost 2-1 to England, but if you watched the game, if you saw the chances we created, I don't think anyone thought we were going to have a shot on goal against England. Like, those are some of the things. Like, yes, Denmark didn't go the way we wanted it to, but under the circumstances, I think we did really well.
Yeah.
Yes, people would have their own opinions, but I think if we keep playing the way we're playing and improving every game, the results will come.
Yeah.
The results will come. And yes, we're a winning nation. Everyone wants to win. Everyone just wants winning teams. And I think South Africa is very spoiled in terms of, the winning teams. The rugby obviously set the tone.
Yeah.
Cricket, us at the World Cup, Bafana at AFCON. So yes, there is a winning formula, but it's going to take time. And sometimes you got to go through rebuilds, you got to go through failures, and there's going to be stumbling blocks. But the way to get to the success is going to have to get through all of that. And we're going to suffer for a while.
Yeah.
We're going to suffer. And we obviously want the supporters and the team, people that are, backing us, to suffer with us, because through the suffering, you're going to see so much change, and you're going to see...
Not so much suffering, please.
No,
Can we have
man.
a little bit of suffering and a lot of celebration?
No, but I mean, in terms of...
I'm teasing.
Yeah, so, suffering in terms of, not the results coming our way, but once we get to that major tournament again, that's when all the suffering is going to become rewarding.
Yeah.
And for us, for me personally, I'm okay to suffer, because I know during the suffering stage is where I'm going to be thriving, because every day I'm going to put in the right amount of work. I'm going to be building the right amount of blocks to make sure that by the time comes with AFCON, that I'm going to be at my best. And that's also something that motivates me.
Yeah.
Is because there's so much time now. Well, not a lot of time until the next AFCON, but there's time to, prepare myself and prepare the team and make sure that we're all good until when we get to AFCON, that we are firing on all cylinders.
I like back-to-back African champions. I like the sound of that.
I know,
can get
it
used to that.
sounds
You know
great,
what I mean? Like, yeah. Here's to back-to-back champions.
Yeah, cheers,
and
mate.
when you do,
Left
sorry,
hand.
yeah, I know. Steve, we've got to order some new mugs, please.
I was like, where am I grabbing you? I'm joking.
That's my bad, actually. I messed up, but that's a story for another day. Thank you for watching the Sias du Plessis show. To my wonderful guest, Kaylin Swart, you've done a phenomenal job. Keep up the incredible work. Keep being a bastion of hope for those who are in a dark place, who need to come out and see the light. They can take inspiration from your story, and this is why this show is so important to me. Is I want to talk to inspirational people. You are one of those people. Big fan. Keep up the great work, and back-to-back African champions. I love the sound of it. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time right here on the Sias du Plessis show.